Hit like and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School where we break down the most controversial subjects, the most interesting topics, the most contested debates going on in the world today. And tonight is no different. One difference tonight, though, is your boy is jacked up. Last night on the show, I told you that I was having some dental issues, man, where they got worse today. I'm having like this pain that's like shooting up the side of my face. And so I woke up this morning after taking pain meds, not pain, I took ibuprofen. I took the 800 milligrams, 600 milligrams. And woke up this morning feeling worse. I had to go do the Joe Budden podcast. And I had to load up. A little Jameson helped too, to be honest. Then after that, I had to go to the dentist, and they took care of everything. I'm sorry, they didn't take care of everything. They went and they couldn't take care of everything. They did an assessment, but I have to go tomorrow. So they gave me this some antibiotics. Apparently I had some infection, and they gave me some more ibuprofen. So I don't want anything stronger. I don't want no Vicodin. I don't want no perks. I don't want none of that. I'm real committed to not doing that. I'm just taking this stuff and trying to get through the night. But I am in extraordinary pain. And after I left the dentist and after I did something, I literally, and this is I don't know if I got into bed and just went to sleep and just woke up crazy. Yeah, so the night's been very crazy between some of the pain stuff. But I feel a little bit better, not a lot better, but a little bit better. But I'm still in a lot of pain. But I want to make sure we talk tonight. I always want to make sure we talk because, you know, I take night school seriously. I take it seriously that we are going to get through a lot of stuff. So we got multiple stories that we're going to talk about tonight. We got multiple issues. I know Fox Sports is at the top of everybody's mind. I told y'all last night I'm going to break this thing down and get after it, and I am. But there's two other stories that we want to get to as well, and I don't want to give them short shrift. So let's get to those two. And just updating something for y'all. In the meantime, drop your comments in, drop your questions in, drop your locations in. In particular, I want everybody to put your name, your city, and your state where you're coming from. Share this video with a friend, group chat, social media community. Do everything you can to really expand our global classroom. If you need to drop a comment, or if you want to drop a comment, please do. We love having open communication, but to do that, you got to be a subscriber. So hit that subscribe button and then comment. But as always, we invite energetic conversation. We love civil discourse, but we also need respectful discourse. So I can't have y'all out here saying crazy stuff. So, you know, you can disagree, you can clown, you can challenge, you can criticize. Just do it without hate speech. Do it without anything that's uncivil. If you do that, we got moderators in the chat, and they will let you know. You're going to get a warning. First time, second time you get muted, that means you can't leave a comment. And third time, unfortunately, we're going to have to ban you. Now, again, I don't want to do that, so hopefully we won't have to do that. Shout out to Let's Go Ikimashu for joining the channel. Y'all love when we get new members. I appreciate that. And I think he might be the noobs. He might be the noobs too. So that'll be even more lovely. I appreciate y'all. And I want to talk about a few things with you all tonight. So we're going to get to the Fox Sports update. I promise you. But before we get to Fox Sports, I do want to give a Gaza update, and then I want to talk about one other thing with Dwight Howard, who finally broke down what happened between him and the NBA when he yelled "Free Palestine." We're going to get to all three of those stories. The Fox story, of course, is the big one, and it's a story that continues to This is the way that keeps on giving. We'll talk about that. But first, let's talk about Gaza. And the reason we want to talk about Gaza, as we do every night, is because there is a war on Gaza and a war on the Palestinian people. It's a genocide, and it's something that we have to take very seriously. In case you didn't know, Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed at least 45,885 Palestinians. It's also wounded 109,196. I remember when these numbers were in the tens of thousands or in under 10,000. I remember when they were like at 10 and 20 and 30 and 40. It never ceases to amaze me how just how wanton the violence is. That's all I could say, man. Israeli forces killed at least 49 Palestinians in Gaza over the last day, according to medical sources, including 5 children in attacks on tents in the so-called safe zone of El Mawasi. And this has happened repeatedly, where these areas that are designated safe zones, in the past, they've been called humanitarian corridors. All these areas where you're supposed to be able to be free to walk, to look for food, to commune, etc. They get targeted. They get targeted with bombs. They get targeted with on the ground troops, and people are dying in the so-called safe zones. 49 people in the past day is stunning, absolutely stunning. And again, 5 children killed. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, who will be president in like 12 days, demands that Hamas release Israeli captives held in Gaza by the time he enters office, warning again that all hell will break loose, quote unquote, otherwise. What does that mean when Donald Trump threatens to allow all hell to break loose in a moment of genocide, when 45,000 people have been killed? And again, those numbers are very conservative. You got 100,000 people as a number thrown out, 200,000 people as a number thrown out. 45 is conservative. But if we were to accept the 45, what does all hell break loose mean if 45,000 are dead, if 109,000 are injured, if everybody's displaced, if the whole civil infrastructure, the whole built environment is blown up, if people haven't had access to education in 2 years? What the hell? What the hell does all hell breaking out look like? Are we talking about just bombing? Are we talking about more killing? Are we talking about cutting off humanitarian aid? I mean, we've done it all. We've seen it all. But what does that look like? And this demand that the hostages be released is not an unreasonable demand. I think that the hostages should be released too. I also think that there should be a ceasefire. I also think they have to stop bombing Gaza. I also think they have to allow aid in. There's a lot of things that need to happen. And we can't prioritize freeing a couple hundred hostages over saving the lives of tens of thousands of people. We also can't condition it that way. Well, look, if you don't release these hostages, we're going to kill innocent people. That's called collective punishment. And that's not the life we about, allegedly. So we have to talk about all of that too. We're going to get there. We are going to get there. Shout out to my brother, Let's Go Ikimashu, by the way, who just dropped 10 memberships in addition to joining the channel. Yo, you don't have any idea how much we appreciate that. Speaking of Palestine, we got a comment coming in from Ty Williams, who said, "Thank you for consistently talking about Palestine." It's my pleasure. It's my duty. It's my labor, right? It's what we should all be doing. It ain't the only thing we should be talking about, but it's absolutely something we should be talking about. And in this platform, in this setting, I will always talk about it. I will continue to talk about it without hesitation or reservation. And it's not easy to do that. Believe me, it's not easy to do that. For a lot of reasons. This is not a world that wants us to be talking about injustice. This is not a world, it's certainly not a media landscape that wants us to be talking about these things. Quite the opposite, in fact. And there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of challenge that comes when you do that. And that's what brings me to the Dwight Howard topic. Let's talk about we're gonna get to this Fox Sports scandal. But first, sorry, a little tech issue here. But I'm gonna talk about Dwight Howard, because if you remember, years ago, Dwight Howard made the news. I've mentioned this before. Dwight Howard made the news when he how can I put it? He spoke out about Palestine. This was during, I believe, in 2016, during Operation Protective Edge, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well, but I'll let Dwight tell you the story. You know, when Dwight Howard was in the NBA, he didn't have the opportunity to tell the story. So I'll tell it now. A few years ago, Dwight Howard tweeted "Free Palestine," and a lot of us were surprised that he did it. A lot of us were surprised that he knew about Palestine. A lot of us were surprised that he was going to speak out, particularly at that time. But he did it. And then it felt like 10 minutes. It might not have been 10 minutes, it might have been an hour, whatever. But very quickly, that tweet disappeared. And he may have even apologized for it. And it was like, what? And there was a lot of conspiracy theories. There was a lot of guessing about why he did that, about what happened. Well, we don't got to guess anymore. Dwight Howard tells the story himself. And I want y'all to see it and hear it for yourselves. Check this out.
When you're in the NBA, it's a lot of things that you want to say, that you could say, but you know if you say it, there's gonna be repercussions. You could get in a lot of trouble. For example, a couple years ago when I played for the Houston Rockets, I tweeted "Free Palestine," and I dang near got kicked out the league for it. And I'm like trying to figure out why. You know what I'm saying? I didn't, obviously, before that, the conversation happened with some Palestinians, and they were telling me, I actually went to the movies one day. I was in the movies in Houston. A whole bunch of Palestinians was like, hey, man, we're big fans of you. Can we watch movies with y'all? So I'm like, cool, man. You know, when I was in Houston and Orlando and a lot of cities I played in, I would take fans to movies. I would take them to main event, do big events at David Buster's and stuff like that. So we go to the movies. After the movies, I'm taking pictures with all the, you know, fans and stuff like that. And they asked me to just bring some awareness to their what's going on in their country. So, you know, me having a big heart, I'm like,
the Christian thing to do.
Yes, I'm like, you know what? I want people to know the struggles y'all having. You know, I don't think it's wrong. So I tweet "Free Palestine." Less than 10 minutes after I tweet that, I get a call from the commissioner of the NBA.
Stop it.
Agents, people like working with my foundation at the time, Texas.
The commissioner.
You got to erase this tweet. You got to take this down. You're going to get it. I'm like, what did I do that was so bad?
Can somebody explain to me?
Yeah, can somebody explain? You know, and it was just like, because I went against the grain. I said something that people didn't like. And I, you know, now.
Not people that like, they didn't like.
So now it's like, I got to stand on what I believe and how I feel and not go back on it.
Yeah.
And when you're in the league, you be in that place where if I say too much, or if I say something, I may not get a job no more.
That's like 70% of people that's out the league that got you.
I gotta hold my tongue, and that's so hard to do when you are faced with so many situations. You have things going on that may be outside the court. You may have situations with your teammates or the team going on, and you can't really speak on. And then I just got to a place where I couldn't trust nothing to nobody. So it's like, I'm not gonna say nothing, do nothing. And then that was a problem too, because now other people are speaking for me.
Bruh. It ain't a conspiracy all the time. It's not a case of collusion or coercion all the time. But sometimes it is. Sometimes things aren't as suspicious as they look, but sometimes they are. Dwight Howard tweeted "Free Palestine," and that shit was gone. Like I said, within, it felt like a minute. It probably was an hour or two. Dwight Howard tweeted "Free Palestine," and it was gone. Now, the question is why, right? And at the time, people were saying, "Well, he didn't know what he was saying. He made a mistake. He didn't know what was going on. Blah 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 blah." It was just an error, right? This was in 2014, by the way. It was 2014 that he tweeted "Free Palestine." But not only did he tweet it, and not only did he take it down, he apologized for the tweet. He apologized for the tweet. So this is where it gets wild, right? Because I mean, it's one thing, again, it's one thing to say, I just deleted it, or I don't want to get into politics. They made him take it down. Now, we knew at the time that Dwight Howard didn't tweet "Free Palestine" and then take it down without some coercion or some pressure. I'll be honest with you. I was surprised that he wrote "Free Palestine" in the first place. I didn't think Dwight Howard knew about Palestine. This is 2014. Just to understand, 2014, this was a time when Israel was doing its mowing the lawn operation in Gaza, right? That's what they do every few years. They call it mowing the lawn, where they come in, they attack, they invade, they kill some people. It's how they manage the population. They call it mowing the lawn. I know it's disgusting. That's what they call it. This is Operation Protective Edge. This is around the same time as Ferguson Summer. That it started in July. Ferguson Summer started in August. And so there's a way that at that moment it was like, okay, America's focused on Palestine, but the world ain't focused like that. I was surprised Dwight Howard knew. So his story gives the explanation. Okay, Dwight, you met some Palestinians, and you meet Palestinians. They're gonna talk about Palestine, and when Palestinians talk about Palestine, you get the information you need. And so he's showing solidarity. Free Palestine is no different than, speaking out against violence in Sudan, or civil war in the Sudan, or speaking out against calling for peace or calling for justice, or calling for liberation, or whatever the thing might be in a particular place, right? I mean, Palestine different. Palestine is different. So Dwight, thinking that he's just speaking out on behalf of an injustice, and he's right, he was speaking out on behalf of injustice, didn't realize how messy this was going to be. And so how crazy it is for the commissioner of the league to call, I don't know if the commissioner will call everybody, but Dwight Howard was a big star, especially when he was still in Houston. This is, the beginning of his decline. But before he got to Washington, Houston was still like peak Dwight Howard in a lot of ways. So Dwight is in Houston. He's a big deal. He's a star of the league. They're like, nah, bro, you can't just be saying "Free Palestine." They called him and told him to take it down. And they made him apologize. How dare you speak out for the justice and liberation of Palestinian people? How dare you? Now, I'm not saying this to criticize Dwight. Dwight said, look, I would get kicked out of the league for this. We've seen people get kicked out of the league for less, or for the same, but probably less. Craig Hodges, for example. We've seen how Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf was treated, formerly Chris Jackson. We've seen it. We've seen enough to know that this ain't a wild conspiracy theory to say they're going to kick you out the league. And when the commissioner calls you and says take it down and apologize. Now, I don't know if the commissioner actually said apologize, but something made him apologize. Somebody made him apologize between his agent and look, the agent is saying, look, this is bad for business. The commissioner is saying, look, this is bad for business. Now, you could also point out that these people may be Zionists themselves. I don't know. I know that they are I know that, how can I put it? I know that there is not a strong pro-Palestinian movement among NBA ownership or among the sponsors or the agents. Some are very explicitly Zionist. I know that because they've said it. They've said it. Others may not be. Others might not be Zionist at all. They just may care about protecting their investments, right? I'm an NBA owner, or I'm an NBA agent, or I'm an NBA. I have some business that's tangentially connected to the NBA, and I know that this kind of controversy doesn't make money. So just chill, be quiet. I'm gonna say the same thing about Tibet. I'm gonna say the same thing about Kashmir. I'm gonna say the same, whatever. Like, that's how some people look at things, and that's why Daryl Morey got in trouble in Houston for speaking on the China question. And that's when LeBron spoke out and criticized him. But at the end of the day, regardless of the reason, regardless of the motivation, Dwight Howard was told to be quiet on Palestine. And for a long time, again, people said, oh, y'all just being conspiracy theorists. Dwight is now telling you directly, he was silenced. So take that for whatever it's worth. Take that for whatever it's worth. All right. Now it's time to talk about FS1. Now it's time to talk about Fox Sports. Now it's time to talk about Fox Sports. The world of media, and the world of sports media in particular, has been rocked for the last 24 to 48 hours, talking about this question of Fox Sports and the lawsuit that has emerged against Fox Sports. The basic details y'all may know by now, but I'm gonna tell them anyway. There was a hairstylist. Her name is Nimfaraji. She worked at Fox Sports for more than 10 years, and she filed a lawsuit against the company. She filed a lawsuit against the company. She helped facilitate a class action lawsuit against the company. She's also individually suing Skip Bayless. He is a defendant. Joy Taylor's a defendant. Also, Charlie Dixon, who's the executive vice president of content at FS1, he's a defendant. So you got Fox, you got Bayless, you got Taylor, and you got Dixon. And she is suing for a lot of stuff. She's suing the company and these defendants for sexual battery, hostile work environment, failure to prevent harassment, negligent supervision, hiring and retention, retaliation, and wrongful termination. Now, she filed a lawsuit, and in the lawsuit, they said, quote, Fox's failure to prevent harassment perpetuated a misogynistic, racist, and ableist workplace where executives and talent were allowed to physically and verbally abuse workers with impunity. Now, there's also an interesting labor piece to this lawsuit, and that's the thing that I think has not gotten sufficient attention. She says that Fox did not pay minimum wages and overtime wages to employees, particularly these are not casual. These are these are hourly employees. These are contract employees. And so she's making a class action lawsuit. They're filing a class action suit. So it's not just her, but it's for all the makeup artists, all the hair people, all the people who work at these companies and don't get proper wage pay. This is a pretty important and progressive policy, or not policy, progressive protest, to change the policy. I was impressed by that. I don't know anything about these people. I don't know these people. I've never met these people. But I do know that a class action suit around wages is important. And that makes it bigger than just a scandalous lawsuit. It makes it bigger than just a messy gossip fountain, although it is that as well. Look, a lot of stuff is happening here, and I'll tell you again the biggest pieces of it. Nimfaraji, she was a hairstylist at Fox, part-time from 2012 to 2016, and then they hired her full-time from 2016 to 2024. She just worked there this past year, and she says in her lawsuit that a couple things happened. One, she says that Skip Bayless was sexually harassing her. She says that he kept asking her for sex. That one time, he even offered her $1.5 million to have sex with her. $1.5 million. She says that his harassment got so bad that that she would come up with excuses to get him off the scent, as it were. She told him that she had cancer, or that she was worried about having ovarian cancer, hoping that that would make him feel sorry for her so that he would stop trying to have sex with her. She said that he would say things out loud to her that were inappropriate, that he would do the lingering hug, the inappropriate touching. He would put his body against her own, and he would press against her breast, and then he began to kiss her on her cheeks, which again, she's saying she didn't want any of this. That's the Skip Bayless part. She also says that Charlie Dixon, who's the executive, groped her at a birthday party in 2017, that she was at Joy Taylor, the host, her birthday party in 2017, and that he touched her inappropriately. She says he, quote, used his position of power to coerce women into having sex with him and use it as justification to grope Faraji. That's what the lawsuit says. And in 2023, she was told by a former Fox employee, a woman, they kept her name out of the lawsuit, but they say that she told Faraji that the reason she didn't get renewed in 2023 was because she didn't have sex with the guy, Charlie Dixon, who was allegedly groping her. And this idea of sexual retaliation, of work retaliation for sexual harassment, is a consistent theme throughout this whole thing. Now, another piece of this is the relationship between Faraji and Joy Taylor, because Faraji says, "Look, I told Joy Taylor about the uncomfortable interactions with Charlie Dixon, and according to Faraji, Taylor brushed it off. She said basically, like, let it go." Now, in the lawsuit, she also says that Taylor was having an affair with Charlie Dixon. So just to, again, Faraji is there as the hairstylist, Taylor's a host, and she's saying that Taylor was sleeping with the executive, and when that same executive started harassing her, she told her to chill. She also accuses Taylor of mocking her accent. She's Iranian, and complaining about Faraji humming, which the lawsuit says is, quote, an involuntary subconscious coping mechanism for Faraji's diagnosed PTSD. Now, she worked on the show Undisputed. That was Skip and Shannon's show. Once that show got canceled, she got taken off the schedule altogether. She'd worked on other shows. She'd bounced from show to show. She worked at Colin Cowherd for 5 years, but they decided, nope, you're done. They decided, nope, no more with you. There's a lot more in this lawsuit. A part of this lawsuit, for what I can see, is about the structure of Fox. They're saying it's a culture of patriarchy. It's a system of patriarchy. Basically, women have to have sex in order to survive this and thrive in this environment. That is the argument. In fact, she says, the lawsuit says, Faraji brings forth this action because for over a decade at Fox, she was forced to endure a misogynistic, racist, and ableist workplace where executives and talent were allowed to physically and verbally abuse workers with impunity. Now, there are people who have said, well, there's a lot of gossip in here, right? She talks about Joy Taylor and her sexual affairs with Charlie Dixon. They say that she was sleeping with Emmanuel Acho. That basically, that this is a lot of like exposing and outing of this woman's sexual history in a way that's unfair and unnecessary. I think what what Faraji would say is it's not, right? That this paints a picture of the culture, but also that Taylor was sort of leveraging her authority and power as a host to harm Faraji. Now, there's debates about that. I'm not taking a side on that part of it. But what I do know is that Faraji is making some pretty important and I think courageous claims here. The Skip Bayless stuff is important because she's saying that he's a creep. She's saying that he, and again, that he was relentless. And even when she said, "Hey, you're married," allegedly, Skip said, "Well, aren't you Muslim? Didn't your father have 3 or 4 women now? And again, 3 or 4 wives? That's racist. It's ignorant." And her father was dead. So it was also just deeply cruel or insensitive. And then there's the idea that he offered her a $1.5 million for sex. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if any of this is true or not. If it is true, I don't think Skip was really going to give her $1.5 million. I think it was just a power play to see what he could. He was just obsessed with her. When you read the lawsuit, which I did, there's this idea of, the more you say no, the more I want to pursue you. This seemed like a power thing for him as much as anything else. She accused him of sleeping with Shannon Sharp, who he called like his, like, he didn't say number one enemy, arch enemy, maybe. It was basically like she had to prove that she wasn't sleeping with Shannon, which is crazy, right? It becomes this competitive thing, and a sick kind of thing, the Joy Taylor part of it, again, tricky, problematic, but a little messier, right? Because now when I look at the internet and when I look at the conversations about this case, I see a lot of criticism of Joy Taylor and how women are sleeping their way to the top. And I see very little about Charlie Dixon and Skip Bayless and the systems and cultures of patriarchy that limit women's possibilities and women's options in these spaces. I think that should be the conversation. First of all, I don't know any of the people involved here, so I can't speak to I don't have any personal knowledge. I can't say, well, they wouldn't do that or they don't sound like that. I don't know these people, not a single one of them. I've never met Joy Taylor. I've never met Skip Bayless, never met Charlie Dixon. Don't even know who Charlie Dixon is, right? So, and I don't know the makeup artist, obviously. So I can only speak to what I read in this documentation. Her Faraji's documentation was impeccable. She had dates and times, and she was drawing connections. If you're going to file a case like this is how you do it. She painted a picture of Fox that looks very familiar to me. I worked at Fox. I didn't work at Fox Sports, but I worked at Fox News. I think she's got the culture down. Again, I don't know if these particular things happen. I don't know if these particular relationships she's saying are real. I don't know, but the story she painted sounds very familiar to the Fox News I worked at. I think she's going to win. I'm surprised that they didn't settle before this broke. You'd think after Diddy, people would have learned, like these companies in particular would learn, like, yo, like maybe we should just fall back, give her this bread so that you don't get exposed in this way. That's what I would think. But maybe it's above my pay grade. Maybe there's a reason I don't know. And then I'm reading the responses to what happened. That's how I found out about this story. Obviously people got their Skip Bayless jokes and all of that stuff. And I don't know Skip Bayless. The people who do know Skip say this doesn't sound like him. I have no idea. But it absolutely sounds disgusting. And I don't put anything above or beyond Skip Bayless. What I do know about Skip Bayless, I don't like, but I don't know him personally. I don't know what he does, but I don't know, but the public conversation about Skip seemed less critical than it should be. People are, again, I'm not saying people have to believe her account, but people are believing her account about Skip, and instead of being critical of Skip, they're clowning the money, or they're questioning the money, or they're making jokes. Or people say, "I'd sleep with Skip Bayless for 1.5 million," which is a funny joke. I get it, but what about the substance here? He's a powerful person, and maybe the most powerful person at the network at one point in terms of talent. If he was doing this, if this stuff is true, this is awful, and there needs to be a conversation about that. But that wasn't the public conversation. I felt like the public conversation was targeted largely toward Joy Taylor. And look, even in the lawsuit, Joy is being accused of some ugly things. And if it's true, Joy is wrong. But it seemed to me that the bulk of the public conversation was about who she was sleeping with. And again, it suggested that she was unqualified. She's not. It suggested that she wasn't good at her job. She was. It suggested that this was proof of all these things. It's not. There is a contingent of people who don't think women should be in media, don't think women should be in sports, and women shouldn't be journalists of sports. There are people who think that women don't belong with ESPN and FS1. And so unfortunately, this conversation is going to reignite those conversations. It's going to make people say, it's going to make people say, see, these women are sleeping at the top. And if you're going to have that conversation about women sleeping their way to the top, if you're going to have that conversation, which, you know, if you're going to have it, fine. You have to have a systemic conversation. And this is the thing that we often don't want to do as a society. As men, we definitely don't want to do it. It's easy to say, look, so women be sleeping their way to the top. Okay. If you believe that, let's get to the why. What kind of systems have been put in place, for example, in this case, in media, where women can't get jobs, where women are, where the executives, the male executives, are forcing women to make choices they otherwise wouldn't make, because if they don't make those choices, they don't get the job. I mean, if what Ms. Faraji is saying is true, then she got fired for not sleeping with the guy. So what does that do? It means you either get fired or you sleep with somebody. This is coercive. This is coercive. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And so I hope this lawsuit, if it's successful, and if her complaints are true, and you know, justice is won, then to me, and I agree with you, Snack Panther, the Manosphere is having a field day with this stuff. That's what I'm saying. Now it becomes a conversation about, again, these slutty women who have no morals, who are trying to take men down, as opposed to saying, again, Charlie Dixon's the executive, and he's the one fucking everybody. Excuse my language. He's the one having sex with everybody. He's the one coercing everybody. He's the one harassing everybody. That should be the question. The conversation shouldn't be about Joy Taylor. The conversation should be about Charlie Dixon and Skip Bayless. The conversation should be about the system and the structure. How many people have sued Fox News? Just on, I mean, having worked at the O'Reilly Factor, having worked on these other shows, you know, I knew everybody. And 5 years, 10 years later, when you see all of these lawsuits, you got to ask yourself again, was there a system here? Was there a structure in place that makes this stuff happen? It's the culture of the institution. That's the scary part. The culture of the institution is patriarchal. That's the issue. And so how does this Fox thing play out? Well, reputationally, I think Fox isn't going to take that much of a hit because people don't care. People don't care that that's the structure of the institution. In terms of the individual people, Emmanuel Acho will probably be fine. He's just accused of having sex with somebody. Joy Taylor is going to take some hits. And it may come down to how loyal she is to the institution. Does she fall on the sword, or does she, you know, kind of throw FS1 under the bus too? She could take a few different approaches to this. I'll be curious to know what her career is after this, because again, I worry that Joy Taylor is going to take the brunt of the criticism and the brunt of the public scrutiny and the brunt of the punishment for what's happened. I suspect Charlie Dixon will be gone, and the lawsuit actually asks for him to be fired. I think he will be, because his stuff is harder to defend and it's easier to prove. And I think there are a lot of people who would probably throw him under the bus and say, look, you know, whatever. And that's what happened at Fox News, right? All the execs just got kind of wiped away. I think you'll see that. Skip Bayless is gone. You know, I think his biggest conversations are going to be, you know, well, there's the personal lawsuit, and he may win. I mean, if she wins, he's going to have to come up with some damages. It's going to be tough. I don't know if Ms. Faraji actually wants to work there anymore. You know, if she wants her job back, or if she just wants the restitution and the money, the compensation, excuse me. And I think she'll get enemy restitution, the compensation. Hopefully she gets it. I hope she gets everything she deserves. But at the end of the day, does Fox change? Does Fox become anything different? Probably not. Probably not. And that's the challenge. That's the real challenge. Anyway, y'all. Thank y'all for watching Night School tonight. I appreciate y'all. See some extra comments coming in. Skip is already fired. Right. I mean, I don't know if he's fired, if he left, whatever, but Skip is gone. He's doing his own YouTube podcast thing. That's what I'm saying. But he might still get sued. He was sued personally. They didn't just sue Fox. They sued him personally. That's where Skip is going to encounter some problems. Anyway, for real, I'm going, y'all. I'm in pain, not doing great. But make sure you check me out every single night here on Night School. We're talking about a range of stuff. Tonight, we talked about Fox News, Fox Sports. We talked about Gaza. We talked about Dwight Howard. We're going to keep the information coming. We're going to keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're so inclined, make sure you hit the join button and become part of the monthly financially supportive community of the channel. We really, really, really support independent media. We support Black-owned media. We support left-wing media. Sometimes we do it in words. Sometimes we do it with our dollars. Sometimes we do it with our affirmations. Right now, we need all three. We need people to spread the word. We need people to hit like. We also need people to join the channel. Become a monthly member, a bronze member for as low as $3.99 a month. It goes a long way. If you can't make a monthly commitment, feel free to do it through Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. You can make a one-time payment, no monthly obligation. You can consider it like a tuition payment for the month. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. You can drop something. You can drop $1. You can drop $1 million. You can drop anything in between. I promise you, no amount is too low. But we're asking that everybody, if possible, leave $10. If everybody watching tonight, right now, were to drop $10 on one of these platforms, we would be able to meet our financial goals for the month and grow considerably. So just something for you to think about. I appreciate y'all. Again, I'm fighting this dental thing, man. I'm trying to get myself right. I'm trying, y'all. So stay with me. I love y'all.